right, welcome to Tall Tales with Taco Bell. Listen, today's going to be awesome. My old dear friend Freddie Joe Farnsworth is coming on, and we're going to talk about war movies and Hollywood and stuff like that. It's going to be a blast. Really enjoy all stories that come from Freddie Joe. They're a lot of fun. So, without further ado, I am going to bring Freddie Joe on, and I'm going to move us over here. So, I am talking to him. Freddie Joe, how are you, brother?
Good, brother. How are you doing?
Hey, you like this? You like this hat? There are
Yeah,
many hats like this, but this one is mine.
that's right. Devil Dog Limits.
Given Devil Dog Limited, given to me by a good friend that owns the company. So it's always nice to know people.
Shirt on.
Yeah, I'm Skippy, man. I like the shirt too. Um, so so we were kind of talking the other day, and this is what made me think about it. Hollywood movies, good, bad, the indifferent, and some of the movies that you have worked on. Because your list, I mean, if I were to pull up IMDb, let me see if I can do this. Hold on a second. I'm going to share the screen because it's kind of cool. Proud of your work. I mean, you've done just a ton of stuff. And Freddie Joe, there we go. Share. So, as I look through all of this, you go Scorpion, NCIS, SEAL Team. I mean, you've done so much stuff. Terminator, the unit. I know you've done Navy SEALs and
Yep.
Alexander,
Yeah, the SEAL team.
Band of Brothers, Galaxy Quest. I mean, holy crap. You've done so much in your career. Um, Anybody that wants to check out stuff, check out Freddie Joe's IMDb catalog, and he's probably the only person I know that was actually in Band of Brothers and also in the Pacific. I mean, in the two TV shows,
Yeah,
miniseries.
yeah. It's in fact, uh, that is one of the trivia questions on IMDb. I found
Is
one.
it?
Well, somebody sent it to me. It's like, who's the only actor to act in both Band of Brothers and Pacific? I was like, hey, you
Yeah.
can't. Plus, I made the top 100 Marines in Hollywood list too.
Did you really?
Yep, me, Captain Di. He made it, of course. But yeah.
Hey, man, you gotta have the Captain in there.
Yeah, it's on IMDb, and it's pretty amazing when you go in there and just see the actors. You're like, holy shit, I didn't know he was a Marine. you
Really?
know?
Like who? Like Lee Marvin and
Yeah, it's like
and
all those old guys. And you get
Tyrone Powers?
I can't remember names, but when you see them, you're like, oh wow, um, uh, of course Gene Hackman was in there,
Oh
and
yeah.
just so many names. It's just like, especially like old actors, World War II and stuff. It's kind of neat.
Oh,
The,
I
I mean,
gotta check that out.
yeah, there's quite a few of us that work in Hollywood now.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, not so many. I don't think there are as many actors that have combat experience or who served.
there's yeah, I'm not sure if the guy who did Star Wars. I don't know if he served in combat.
No, but
Um,
he was a Marine.
you're right. Uh,
Rob Riggle was in Afghanistan.
in Afghanistan, so I know he was. And then, of course, Dale Dye was in Vietnam. Um,
Yeah, but you know what I mean? There aren't that many actors out there. There are a lot of people that play a Marine on
right.
TV or a SEAL on TV or the movies, but very far and few in between. I wish more actors had, we had or more service members who have served would take up that craft.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're in the Marines, you don't really. I never thought I'd be in Hollywood. Hollywood kind of came to me, so it was like, I didn't like, oh, I'm gonna go and be an actor. I'm gonna go. I mean, you see them now because we'll go and the captain does it, but like I'll go and be a guest speaker or something. Then you start getting all the lance corporals asking you questions. How'd you get
Yeah.
into it? Or I have a lot that email my agent, and which pisses him off. But then he's coordination, and it's like, oh, I'm stationed in 1-5, and when I get out, I want to start working the film business. I usually just ask, what do you want to do in the film business? It's just, do you want to work behind the camera? Do you want to work in front of the camera? Do you want to be a stuntman? I get a lot of want to be a stuntman. But yeah,
You
just
pretty much have done the full spectrum.
yeah. When I started Taco, of course, my dad was like, "You're an idiot," and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I just said when I came because I started the business in Wyoming when I moved back to Wyoming. So when I came out to Hollywood, I just told myself I'm going to work in the business. I'm not going to be a waiter. Once in a while I do a thing. I worked at a horse place, taking people out on horse rides.
Mhm.
But I'm going to work in the business. And then as a tech advisor, I figured that the best way for me to learn how this thing works, because my biggest problem my first couple of years was I had too much of the core in my system, and everything was I'm going to rip your head off. This is like
Shit down the hole, right?
everything,
Right.
and then people would look at me or say stuff like, "What the?" So what I did is I actually learned the film business by doing it, being an armor, being a props guy, being
Yeah.
special effects, and of course being stuntman and everything else. And then it's like when I was in Australia, everybody kept coming, man, you're so knowledgeable. You know the cameras, you know where it should be. You know where the actors should tilt their head just a quarter inch to the right to get the best shot.
Yeah.
Just experience and time, and really, really, I don't go. It's not a job. It's a lot like the Marine Corps to me. It's got to be a part of your life. You gotta really get in there and understand what's going on, and don't worry about something that's not on camera. I used to look
Right.
at the battlefield and this guy over here would be like half-assing, and instead of looking at the monitors to see if he was even on camera, I would literally just rip his head off.
Yeah.
And then now I still rip his head off, but I just do it in a little more tactful way.
It's kind of like Scotty, man. Scotty Gibson in the Pacific. He goes, you know what I love about Freddie was Freddie just walks up to me out of nowhere, snatches my fake prop 45 out and gives me a real one and says, "I'm going to make you famous."
Again, too, is by having the knowledge enough to go and look at the monitors and see what the camera is actually seeing. The actors love those rubber weapons. They weigh nothing.
Right. Right. Make you
but
look good.
but they don't. A used 1911, the the bluing on it's different. It's not It's not black. It's kind of
Yeah.
the real one's going to have a scratch on it and have all this stuff on it that the camera's going to pick up and know that it's a real weapon. So
Right.
um,
Right.
camera was close enough up on him that yeah, you need to change this right now.
I'll make you famous.
That's not real.
You know, there were some movies that you worked on that are just out of this world. For example, Band of Brothers in the Pacific. Working with those actors and kind of getting them into the groove. Um, I imagine some of them probably still fear you to this day because you're an actor. I mean, to be a Marine in front of your Marines talking, to be an instructor, it's almost like being an actor because you have to put on one persona in front of this group, and then you have to put on another persona as you're standing up at a staff level meeting giving a brief.
Right.
But as you're standing in front of 70 Marines giving a talk as the CO or OIC of that unit, I always felt like I had one persona going to these guys,
Right.
and then another persona with my staff NCOs, because you have different levels that you can kind of notch down to, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes
And
a ton of sense. It's like being a troop handler when you're standing out in front of all your 100 privates, private first classes, and you're just stressing them all the time. So you're out there, and then when you go in the office, it's like, "What's up, man? What's going on?" And
they don't think you're human. It's like drill instructors from boot camp. You thought that dude was the devil. Years later, I ran into this guy. Oh, that's sorry. That's the CO.
nice.
Yeah. Watch this. Hey, Sonny, honey, you're on my podcast. How are you? All right. I love you. I'll talk to you in a bit. Bye bye. Hey, you know what? When SyncPack calls, you got to answer because you know what? If you don't, it'll be another phone call and another phone. Like, where are you?
Yeah.
Answer. I needed one thing.
I hope not
Um,
because I'm on my phone right now.
yeah. Well, that's okay. You know what? If they do, put do not disturb. Um, but no, seriously, I think about that a lot. A lot of military people like Dale, you know, for example, he's a great actor. He is a great actor. And he comes across as that caring CEO, you know, leader.
Mhm.
He did in all those movies that he's been in.
Yeah.
So
And you know, you also have to learn tone, uh, which I've learned throughout with my acting is sometimes slow down, talk softer,
yeah,
um, slow my talk down. I watched some of the stuff I did back in the day, and it's just like, and, you know, even Band of Brothers. I come in the horse, and I'm like just hurrying through my lines, and I'm hauling ass out of the scene. And I go look at it now. I go, man, I could have made that twice as long of a scene. Could have been,
yeah,
you know, uh,
yeah. But if you'd done that, they might have gone, "Hey, we need to snip something here. What about that dude on the white horse?"
that wasn't going nowhere because that's when Winters got wounded, so they had to leave
Oh,
it in.
that's right. That's right, man. That was a perfect scene.
And I still remember the director telling me, "Hey, can you slow it down just a little bit?" I was like, "Yeah," and I thought I did, but I wasn't.
Well, in your mind, you're thinking, we're in the middle of combat. I'm getting shot at. There's a sniper shooting around here. I don't want to be a standing target. I mean, the military in you, I know
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
thinking about that.
yeah. I was a
So,
little nervous too because Spielberg asked me to play that part, so I was like, I don't want to mess it up. But Spielberg asked me personally to play this part, so
nah, no, no, no. How is it working on the Hollywood side of things? Do you find that they take most of your suggestions of, hey, we ought to probably do this, or do they tell you, hey, look, only this is made for mom and pa, you know, in middle Iowa. The rest of the country doesn't care, you know, or the
right.
1% of you vets out there who
Well,
see it who will recognize that mistake.
I've gotten a ton of we're not making the documentaries. Um, but and it goes along with being a good tech advisor or a good leader, I guess you could say, is I do my best to convince the director that my way is the best way.
Right.
And times before we ever even get to filming in the meetings, I'll sit down in the meetings and I'll tell them, I said, if you stop and think about it, if you get 25 million people to watch your film, it's a success. In the US, there's 40 to 60 million people either have been in the military, parent or a family member in the military, or grandparents, so on and so forth. So there's probably 40 to 60 million. If you get half of them to go, man, that movie was great, you got a successful movie on your hands. Even
Yeah.
if even if it's something that's silly, even if it's like Sergeant Bilko or something silly. If you make
Yeah.
I did this on World War Z, and the director really took, because I was getting a lot of flack back because there was 18,000 producers and executive producers on that show.
Yeah.
$280 million movie, so you're going to get a ton of talking heads, and I just, basically you have to tell them that if you want these zombies to be scary, and when they're first engaged with the National Guard, if they look like a bunch of goofs out there running around, it takes away from the moment of these friggin' zombies are crazy, because it's kind of, when the National Guard goes in and everything, it's kind of when we were first seeing the zombies
Hmm.
and or Z. So if you see these guys locked and cocked and, oh, here comes the army, here they're coming in, and then 20 seconds later, these zombies are tearing their ass up, those zombies become 10 times more frightening. But
Yeah.
if the military guys are just going in there, hup, 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 then everybody's going to be like, yeah, no wonder they got their ass kicked.
That you know what? I was really looking forward to that movie in particular because I love the book, and it was nothing like the book.
Yeah,
I mean, it was loosely based off the book, but
thank God. No,
I mean, zombies walking underwater, a nuclear submarine getting the intake, the water cooler covered up by the zombies crawling over the
they,
submarine underwater. I'm like, that's cool shit, man.
they did film that. They had the North Koreans were coming to America, and in the scene you see them talking with all their teeth out, because they in the book the North Koreans pull all their teeth out so
Right.
that the zombies can't spread throughout the country. And a part of Brad Pitt's character is trying to figure out how they knew to take their teeth out before any of this ever happened. So were they the reason why this all started? But at the end of the original third scene, what they call the end of the movie, there was a North Korean ship, which I fought with them every day, saying the North Korean ship can't make it to America. They don't, none of them have that distance on them. And it was a huge fight.
Yeah.
But and then at this the end of the movie was you see the ship going, and then they go scan down under the ocean, and you see the zombies walking like they're going to another country too.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out, so they reshot from the airplane crash all the way to the end. Was all reshot.
Really? Jeez.
They spent another $100 million to do the last part of that movie again.
God, it's hard to believe it, you know. And then there was something about the ship. You had talked to the guy about the ship, and I know we discussed that in another podcast.
The aircraft carrier.
Aircraft carrier.
Yeah. They have, if you see it in there where they're anchored up out at sea during flight ops, which you would never do. Anchored up out at sea, and a bunch of like civilian boats and ships are around all these ships and around the carrier. And I'm like, first of all, they're not going to anchor up out at sea. They don't have enough chain to be out at sea. Second of all, why are they? Well, they ran out of fuel, and so I got into a big argument. I got an argument with the transportation director, like, what do you argue? You're in charge of vans. What do you argue with the military advisor on military stuff? Or, but it was S. Truman that they were using. And so I got all the nomenclature for it, and I just threw it out on the desk and said, what does it say that under engines and distance, range? Because, the nomenclature has range of travel,
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it says indefinite. I said, look up one more line. Why is it? Because it's nuclear.
Nuclear.
They're like, oh crap, we didn't think about that.
You idiots.
Yeah.
No, I could see him running out of food. That's a true statement. Running out of food, yes, but not power.
I explained to him too, which a lot of people don't realize, that the U.S. military, just like say Desert Storm. In Desert Storm, we were opening up food boxes that were 20 years old because they're in storage. We have decades worth of reserve stuff that's always in storage, always cycling through, always in reserve, just like our fuel. They're like, oh, well, the military ran out of fuel. I said, our military reserves is originally set up to take care of just the military to run 100% for 50 years.
Yeah.
So, and they're just like, what? And that's the reason why, like the book, me and the writer, and I kind of messed up the writer, Max Brooks, right? Isn't that his name? Max Brooks or something? They scheduled the interview with me and him at the same time. And I made the big mistake by just kind of, when we started the movie, I just kind of brushed through the book really quick, so there was some things in there that I was like, nope. And I kind of embarrassed him because he's like, well, because in the book, one of the first institutions that break down is the military. And so I went in this interview to prove his whole thing wrong. And I tell him things, well, how many zombies do you think could bite through an M1A1 Abrams tank? How many zombies could go through an armored Humvee? How many zombies, you know what I mean? And he was just, oh, well, so I was glad they just pulled excerpts from the book and tried to put those in, because some of it was a little silly.
It should have been a miniseries, because a miniseries would have been able to encompass all the. I mean, there were some great short stories out on the islands, and I mean, just different things.
Yeah, Navy SEAL kidnapping his family and all that, and that was actually filmed in the movie too. And they decided to cut it out, which Matthew Fox played the Navy SEAL. Oh, well, I think in the book he might have been a PJ. Yeah. but I had them change it to Navy SEAL because nowadays maybe, but the majority of people say, "Oh, Air Force," and they don't know what a PJ and
they don't realize the PJs and those air controller guys.
yeah,
They're
they're badasses.
They're badass.
But my thing was a visual. People don't. I know, but like you were just talking about earlier, mom and pop back sitting on the couch back in Ohio don't know.
Air Force. Shit, man.
Yeah, they go 6-week boot camp and call it even.
They have pizza on the weekends. Come on.
So we had a long conversation about that. I got and it just Osama bin Laden had just been killed, taken out. So it was like, hey, you got the Navy SEALs right now or the big dogs. Let's make this guy a SEAL. And they were like, well, if Matthew wants to do it. And as soon as I said, hey, Navy SEALs, Osama bin Laden and the creme of the creme, and he was like, I'm in. That's what I want to do.
So. And then he got cut, right? Or did they keep him?
It's only in like he's when they're in the Philadelphia and they're on the rooftop. He's the guy that comes in on the helicopter, just standing there, nice and calmly shooting the zombies behind him. And then you see him on the ship once or twice, trying to get him.
Well, we were talking about Jarhead. You turned that down, right?
Yeah, that was the very first film. I was like, nah, can't do it. Can't do it.
Did you know Swafford?
I didn't know him. Like, hey, bud, what's going on? I mean, I knew of him. I had worked with 2-7, and I was in 1-7. So we're in the same locations a lot, same areas, same training areas, so on and so forth. I think I knew Coombs, who was in his I believe was in his squad, in his unit, in his stay platoon. But I knew the book. I read the book, and when Universal got a hold of me to do the film, and that was through, I think Julia Dye hooked that one up. And so I went and got the book real quick, and I read the book, and I was like, you got to be shitting me, and so when they sent me the script, I was like, no, just going through with the red pen. Nope, this wouldn't happen. Things like, they're doing the obstacle course and they're shooting live rounds over the top of their head, and one of them gets his head blown up. That doesn't happen. That would never happen. And if it happened, his platoon sergeant and his platoon commander and his company commander, and probably all the way up to maybe even regimental commander, if something like that happened, it's going to be gone. Relieved, maybe even arrested, especially if his squad or platoon sergeant was not supposed to be doing it. He definitely would have been arrested.
Having read it, I just remember the book. I read excerpts from the book, and then I saw the movie, and I'm just going, oh.
Well, yeah, and a lot of part of it, that whole it to me was, and you'll understand this, it was written by a shipbird Marine that hated the Marine Corps.
Right.
Experience in the Marine Corps, didn't like it, and so he was going to tell the world all. But what he did was he elaborated very, very much so. Simple things like, we didn't get to take the shot, we didn't get to kill, what are we doing out here? Well, that's 2-7. About a month before we went across, we were Task Force Ripper 1-7 and 2-7, and which all Marines know, Task Force Ripper is usually the spare tip, the ones who go across, right up the middle, getting busy.
Yeah.
And about a month before, like right around the time we were getting really close to the border, Kofchi time and stuff, all of a sudden there's a bonfire out in the middle of nowhere. And there's just the discipline wasn't there. They lit a big bonfire, and we're out here, like 3 kilometers from the border, from where our Iraqi troops are, and they're lighting bonfires and stuff. So they pretty much got relieved instantly. They got pulling out of all their armor, all their Amtracs, and because we were all in Amtracs at the time.
Yeah,
and they were put on foot. So literally, they took off about, I would say, 4 hours before us walking. So they were marking So their jobs would go to start and kind of mark the first line of, defense, make sure, where all the where the minefields were the first minefields we were going to hit. And so they basically kind of went there and secured it. And then we came through with the line charges and blew them all up in the tanks and made a little freeway there and went right through it. And we didn't see them again. So they were nowhere near us because we were gone. We had to stop the first 24 hours. We had to stop inside the burning oil fields because we had already moved like 60 miles and those guys were on foot, so they were nowhere near us. So in the movie, he tried to persuade it. Like, in fact, that airfield that place where he was at, where they were supposed to take that shot, we had been there like the day before, and they came in after us, and we'd been there because that was our first, like, we could see the Iraqi troops and the snipers are shooting them and stuff, but then the Iraqi troops are moving around. And like we're doing normal military stuff, each other, flipping each other off, and even the only times they'd really ever shoot back at us is when we'd moon them. They didn't like us showing our asses to them. And then we just got up and moved out. And then a day later, 2-7 finally got there, and they just basically held us a secure pot. So there was no place for them to take sniper shots by that point.
Yeah. Well, the thing that always killed me on that one was the persona, maybe an actor's visualization of what a Marine officer would be like, or a staff NCO.
Right.
And there are some guys like that, right? But I would say 95% of the folks are not like that at all. I mean, what you have in your mind of what a Marine is.
Right. That was, I'm not going to say the name, but that would be me as a tech advisor. That's what I would be working on the whole time. No, you're a major, you've been around a long time. You're not going to be coming in, you're a lieutenant, you're going to be little booty, little chill, everything. And then you're going to have the senior enlisted guys that are going to be keeping you in check all the time, and that's your job to explain to them. Everybody has, and it does work for me. When I auditioned, last military thing I got was, where I was in dress blues. I freaking hated it because thank God I wasn't overweight like I have been the last couple of years. But I did a Modelo commercial, and all these Marines are in there, and they got 9 of us lined up, or seven or 9 of us lined up, and we're all in our dress blues, and everybody's got their medals on and their ribbons. And
did you wear your actual?
Yeah, and cool. And I was the last one in the line, and they're going down the line. Oh, where'd you get that medal? Oh, this is, I did, my unit said I did outstanding service for 3 years. And I'm going, that's a good conduct medal. Everybody gets it. Oh, that's a national defense medal because I served during combat times. And and it was just going to all these things. And they just, and they're giving, what was your job? Oh, I was a ammo tech specialist, or I was a, headquarters and Marine, and but they never said actually what a headquarters Marine does. And
right.
And then they get to me and they're like, "What? Oh, what's that medal up there with the star on it?" And I go, "Just a medal."
Oh, I don't know.
I go, "They don't mean shit." I said, "Just different things I did in the military. They don't mean anything." And everybody's just kind of like, "What the hell?" And they're like, and I think I told you the story. And they're like, "Well, what was your job in the Marines?" And I just looked at them and go, "I was a bullet sponge." And it was the best line I ever did, because when you go in there, all the clients and the agencies are just, they're on their phone, they're on their laptop, they're not paying attention to you, and it's just kind of like, why am I in there? And they all just went, "Ooh." And I looked up and said, "Well, what's a bullet sponge?" But I got lucky because the director he goes, well, because he asked everybody, we had you yell all day, could you yell? Could you keep your voice and be really loud? And oh yes, I could do it. All Marines yell. There's all these different answers. And it got to me, and the director goes, "Well, I'm not going to ask you if you can yell, because I'm like the biggest Band of Brothers fan on the planet." And I was like, "Oh shit!" I said, "It's going to be either good or bad." But I got the part before I get to my car, so it was good.
Oh, that's cool. And what was it? What was the deal? It was a commercial?
Yeah, it was Modelo. It was Master Sergeant Martinez, I believe. He won the Navy Cross. Was it Navy Cross? Or?
God, I don't know.
Yeah, the one right under
Navy Cross.
Yeah, under the Medal of Honor.
Medal of Honor.
Yeah, and it was, he was Hispanic. Modelo always does, Hispanic, famous Hispanic boxers or whatever.
Mhm.
And they had a scene where they're going through an obstacle course, and then a scene where they're standing in formation, and I'm just lacing their ass up. And it's I could say anything I want because there was no voice. I don't know why I had to yell all day.
It'll make it look like it, right?
It was good. It ran for like a year and a half. I was happy. Made a lot of money.
Yeah, I was gonna say you get good residuals off that stuff, don't you?
Like 19 grand every quarter.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah, that'll buy some horse feed.
Not bad for one day work.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding, right? One day. So everybody thinks. I mean, I've done a couple movies, and they're mainly B movies, real B movies, C movies, D movies. Helping out my ex brother-in-law who's done everything, right? Stunts, armor. He's kind of a mini you, only down in the CD movies. And
Right.
he's moving up. I mean, he spent 20 years in there. But he would always call me up and go, "Hey, Taco, can I borrow your M1 for something? Or could I
Right.
do this? Or shotgun, can I borrow a shotgun for this movie?" Yeah, yeah, sure. Bring it back in one piece. Um, so he go, "Hey, you want to be in this?" And I happen to be off. So I would do a couple movies with him. And it's so interesting for a person that's not in the movies to look at it. Like I'm standing next to Marshall Teague, who he's an actor, lives down the road.
Yeah, I know Marshall.
Um, you know, the guy that he got his throat ripped out in Roadhouse, the original.
He was in Rough Riders with me.
Oh, was he in Rough Riders?
Yep.
No shit. Um, Marshall was standing there, and in the scene, um, this guy stitches Marshall with an AK, and then a sniper takes me out.
Mm.
And when they yelled action, and I'm standing, I've got this guy with an AK down on the back of his head, and I'm standing there like this, and all of a sudden Marshall gets taken out, and I looked over, and the squibs went off, and I was like, "Wow, that shit looks real," and I froze because I was like, "Wow, that looks real," and
Mm-hmm.
then. You're supposed to die. It was Chuck Norris's
Oh, yeah.
son who was directed it.
Air Force.
It was or Marigeddon was the movie.
Was
Mike
it
Norris?
was Eric Norris the director?
No, I think is his name Mike? Mike Norris?
Yeah, his son is is his brother, so he directs and the big stunt guy. I mean,
He was directing the movie, and so then they had to do me. I think on purpose because it was frozen ground, and I had to fall. Nope, not good enough. Get up, do it again. I'm like So I hurt a hip doing that. I should get stunt pay for my 8 hours, $8 an hour or whatever I was getting as an extra. But it was pretty cool. It was really neat to be behind the scenes. But what you don't realize is that one 30-second scene that you watch might have taken 8 hours to shoot because of the light or because of this or because of whatever extraneous factors. Or the editing room ends up cutting it down to 30 seconds, but it took all day to film that. So, yeah, I don't think I used to think, oh, acting would be so cool to do.
yeah, on the big film, you usually get maybe, if you're lucky, you'll get a minute a day out of it. If you're lucky, I mean, look, excuse me, World War Z was 8.5 months of filming.
Oof, it's a long time
for a 98-minute movie.
Yeah, 8.5 months that you're on set.
Yeah.
What's the longest that you've ever been gone shooting a movie?
Oh, well, a show, the Pacific, I was in Australia for 11 months. So
that's a long time.
Yeah,
but pretty good. So you had a nice apartment. You're out there having a good time.
Yeah, when we were in Port Douglas for like the first 3 months, 2.5 months, 3 months, doing all the beach landing stuff. Really nice, like 1-bedroom apartment, but it was like a resort. Had a pool around it and everything. And then when we went down to Melbourne, they put us in this is right at the soccer fields, but I think it's called the Quest, the hotel, which is nice. and you're right in the middle of everything. You can walk out my door and take 20 steps and I'm at a chicken place and all this stuff. And then the games are there. But I was like, I can't do 8 months because it was just very cubicle like. It was very like military, cinder block walls, small TVs, couch, small bed. And I was like, so I did a deal with them that if I didn't like my accommodations, they just pay me what they paid and I could go get my own accommodation. And so I got a hold of Robert and it's like, let's go get our own place. So both of us checked out. And I think he made $1,000. I mean, they paid him $1,000 a week and they paid me $1,700 a week. So we went and got the 4th nicest penthouse in Melbourne. And we paid a little over $5,000 a month for it. But it was amazing. 3 bedrooms. Every room had big screen TVs. You know, had 65-inch in the thing, had a bar with 12 chairs in it. It's big, huge balcony that overlooked the Docklands, and it was just an amazing place. It was. I think Robert still wish he lived there.
Was this the Party Central?
Oh, it was crazy. I had my 40th birthday there, so it was what, 16 years ago? Well, it'll be 17 years in a couple of days. Had my 40th there, and there was probably 200 people there.
Yeah, God, man.
Coming in going, what the hell? I remember Tony Toe, who the main executive producer, was, how much money am I paying? This is like, but when you put it in with their per diem, like I was making $2,500 a week because they add that into your per diem. So I was bringing in $2,500 a week, and Robert was bringing in like $1,700. So we actually made money to get our own place.
Oh, nice.
Because I mean, 1 week I'd pay off my half of the rent. So, I got 3 weeks, $2,500 a week just to party.
Who did you guys hang out with the most actor wise that was in that production, or did you?
Once in a while, you know, Badge, John Seda when he was out there.
Scott hang out with you at all?
Hung out with Scott a little bit. You know, but Scotty wasn't, you know, he was in and out all the time. So more than the most of them. And then, you know, Josh Baton a lot. And me and John Barenthal hung out a lot when he was there. We go out.
Now that guy has really done well.
Oh, yeah. He's a great actor.
Love him and all of his stuff. I mean, he's just fantastic.
He sends me the best messages. I mean, I can't repeat what they say, but they're disgusting.
Wait, he's the Punisher. Come on, man.
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you the funny thing about that. When he was doing the Punisher, and I think they're bringing it back. I think he's going to do it again. I think that might be top secret information. I don't know. But like he would call me like every week. Hey, what would a Marine do with this? Hey, what would a Marine do that? Like there's the first episode of the 2nd season. He's in this big bar brawl with like 8 people. And he's getting tired because it starts in the bathroom and then it slowly moves out into the bar. And these guys are ninjas in their own right mind and they're getting after it. And it's a good scene. And he goes, in the middle of the scene, I want them to think they got me. You know, I think that, you know, because I'm starting to move slower, I'm getting tired, I'm slowing down. And right in the middle of it, he kind of is like pulling himself up and off the wall. And the 2 are sitting there fixing to come in and get him. They're like, oh, yeah, we got him now. And all of a sudden he goes, what would I do?
Take a shot?
No. Yeah, that would be. I go, you know how we bark and all that?
Yeah.
Just bark, but you know, just do it like really deep. And he did right in the middle of the scene. He's just like that. And it's like, well, you know, the music, everything, like the Punisher's about to get his ass kicked finally. And he just goes, oh, like that. And he flexes up, looks at him and smiles. And they're like, oh, shit. He was like, that's the greatest. So it was really kind of cool because I went to the premiere and I was like, what the hell? They got this chair with me right in Baton's there. A lot of people are there. And they got right in the middle. And he came out and he said, look, all of you guys, and he's thanking everybody, thanking the tech advisor, who I know he's a former Navy SEAL on that show. He goes, but I want to let you know who the real Punisher is. And he's like, Freddie Joe Farnsworth. And everybody went crazy.
Like, that makes you feel good.
Yeah, I'm like, I'd rather have you pay me for all them times I help you rewrite the script.
And get credit for it, right? Another thing.
All of them, all the Band of Brothers guys and the Pacific guys, especially, both of them, you know, if they have anything military, I'm the first person they call. Hey, can I go through this with you? Or, you know, Popeye Wynn played a redneck cowboy and from the old days, and he had to be, I don't know why he called me, he had to be racist and stuff, you know. I was like, so
Yeah, I don't know what you'd say.
And so you could try to emulate my accent and stuff. So, you know, they're good guys.
Well, you haven't it's a hard profession to get into. You managed to crack the nut, and Starship Troopers was your first one, if I remember right.
Got lucky. I met Captain Dale in the movie, so I got really lucky.
Yeah, you met Captain Dale, and so you're able to do all that stuff in some of the most iconic movies that we love. I do remember giving Dale some shit about what's the alien invasion one that he was working with.
It's like stripper chicks from Mars or something.
No, it was good. No. It was the aliens.
That was his first acting part. Was in one of those movies, those B-rated movies where the Martians are all in like bikinis. And
oh yeah, no. This was not too long ago, and I remember seeing him at Skyball, and I was like, Dale, what the hell, man? Blah blah blah. And he goes, I know, Taco. I told them, but they don't give a shit. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah.
I tried. When I did Spy Games, I got him to cast him to play the SEAL Team Commander.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because he was a little mad that I got Spy Games and he didn't. So I'm like, well,
hey, I'll get you some work. All right, you're okay, Freddie Joe.
Yeah, and I wasn't even there when he worked, so he loved it because they filmed. I was in Morocco and they filmed his stuff in London.
Wow!
He was there finishing up Band of Brothers because I left Band of Brothers like a month early to go do Spy.
That is so cool. What's your next project? You have something going on in Australia coming up?
Yeah, I got another one. Well, I have this movie this week. I got a group together, all Marines. We're going to do all the ADR, the looping in it. Mm-hmm. Called a movie called Primitive War that I did over there. It's Vietnam. It's about Vietnam.
Oh, is this the one with the dinosaurs and crap?
Yeah, dinosaurs. Yeah, it's based off the book Primitive War, which is a sci-fi best-selling book. So. Yeah, it's pretty good. So we're gonna
get that.
We're gonna do the loop. Yeah, that author I met, he's out of Kentucky. He's written like a lot of books and they're really, really good. They're good. I mean, if you like sci-fi.
Oh, I love sci-fi. I'll buy that one. Watch that.
Yeah, he was really cool because you know when Luke Sparks called me, the director, who's a good friend of mine. You know, he worked on the Pacific as a military webbing, but he's become a really big time director out of Australia, and they didn't want me to come on it. They were like, well, you know, the stunt coordinator was like, well, I was in the Australian Army and but Luke knows me from two movies, The Great Raid and The Pacific, and he's like, no, you guys don't have any idea what this guy does. It's incredible. You know what I mean? I get my cast and get them to, you know, keep control of them.
Yeah,
casting from all the world, from Africa to you know, Africa, Australia, a couple from America, you know, they're from all over the world. So he's like, I need somebody that's going to make this group look like they're special forces. And I don't have enough money to pay somebody to do a week boot camp with them. Yeah. So I got 1 day to train them, and those dudes are badass. They got locked on. They got locked on quick. It only took me one amazing. They were kind of half-assing a little bit in the about the second hour. And they found out who I was, where they got their ass handed to them. And that was it. And they were like, oh shit, this guy ain't messing around. But I'm going to help finish that hopefully this week, just to do ADR work. You know, it's just somebody walking by in the base camp, and you know, it was an extra, so we'll go and put voices to somebody talking and stuff, which is good for us. But he's fixing to do a big sci-fi studio film that I'm going to go out and do, and it's kind of like Starship Troopers. You know, Earth gets destroyed, and the government sends these militaries to go fight planets to steal all the resources and stuff for their own planet. And,
dude, you got any parts for a space pilot?
Yeah. You never know.
I can flip switches and I can fly it with the best of them, man.
Yeah, I just submitted a friend of mine to him for a former Marine, you know, Mike Carey. I just submitted. Yeah. He's a good actor. He's done a little bit, but he was an air winger. You'd like him.
Yeah, get me hooked up with him. I'd love to talk to him.
His name's Mike Carey. He's a movie producer. He did he wrote the Manson Brothers and the Midnight Zombie Massacre. that I did.
Boy,
It's good. It's got Boz Rutan and Randy Couture, and it's just a big fight. It's about it's basically it starts off a comic book, Manson Brothers, and it's these two old wrestlers tag team, and it's true because Mike, when he got out of the Marines, he wrestled in the Manson Brothers. They were like a team in Chicago and all those areas, professional wrestler. So he kind of based the characters off his wrestling, how the wrestling team.
yeah.
And it was right before COVID. They're at a gym in New Mexico, and somebody brings in some tainted steroids from China, and it starts turning people into zombies, and then there's it's literally, Max Martini directed it.
Yeah.
So of course I stunt coordinated because I was his double for like 19 years. It was some of the best fight scenes I've ever done, but I mean, I got Randy Couture and all these fighters, and these guys were wrestlers, and so, all I had to do is teach them how to wrestle on TV in a movie, because they were just, you guys got to do it in sections, because you're going to do one big one when you do the whole match.
Yeah.
And then you're going to do sections of it and moving the camera around and so on and so forth. And once I got them taught that, they were great. I mean, we put on a full-on wrestling match. All the extras were just local people out of New Mexico. And after they said cut, it was a standing ovation on the first take. Everybody was like, "Holy cow!"
How'd that movie go?
It was good, little low budget,
Man.
for $1.5 million. And it was really good, because me and Max, we fight because we're like brothers. So it's like everybody's just, I've never seen a director and stunt coordinator fight like this. And we're going to do a camera test, and he wants the zombies to be a little more lethargic and, good. Because this one, when you become a zombie, you don't, he wanted them to still have their fighting skills, be able to.
They don't have a mind or a soul, but they know how to fight.
But their body, they're still, they've been a wrestler their whole life. So when the zombie's going to do wrestle moves, or
Okay.
So I go, look, I'll be the very first zombie that changes for the camera test, right? And because he kind of wanted it to be, because it's hilarious movie. It's funny.
I gotta look it up.
Witty. It's hilarious. But I was like, we need to make the zombies like really scary, like badass ninjas. Now, not only do they keep their fighting skills, but now they're overly like just badasses because they've lost all.
Right.
And Max was fighting. No, we didn't know. We're not. So when I did the first camera test and I played the guy that changed, like, okay, that's what we're doing. It was crazy, but it's a really smart move. In fact, at the end of this year, I'm going down to Kentucky to film the second one, because he's written a whole series of them. The first one is, the whole thing starts off, a dad is showing his son finds a comic book, Manson Brothers. Oh, you got to check this out. And it's about them fighting zombies. And then the second book is them fighting vampires. And then, because he's like a big 70s movie guy, man. He loves all the old, Westerns and scary movies. And he just got a series, the third one's werewolves and the fourth one's Frankenstein. And, it's just these old dudes, these wrestlers.
The movie that I want to see made years ago, Reddit, kind of getting into the Substacks on Reddit, and I like the military subjects or whatever. And there was a guy who wrote a question on Reddit. What if the 24th MEU, Marine Corps Expeditionary Unit, what if the 24th MEU somehow, kind of like what was that movie where they Final Countdown, where they went back in time? What if the 24th MEU on their way to Afghanistan went back in time and actually faced a Roman legion? Who would win the battle?
Right.
And all these guys were piping in, it'd be the Marines, the Marines would do this. But, then other folks who, military backgrounds were like, well, wait a minute. What about resupply? How are you going to resupply? Well, the MEU actually has the ospreys and they've got cobras, and I'm thinking it would be a total annihilation of the Roman legion
Yeah,
if
well,
a Mew fought
the
them.
book, and I apologize, I don't know the name of the book, but I know Luke Sparks once again has the rights to it, and he's written a TV series, and it's Indonesia has gone completely ISIS, because Indonesia is 95% Muslim, and so now ISIS has a full Indonesian military. They got submarines and everything. And in the book and in the TV series, the 24th Mew is fixing to do beach landing in Indonesia, and they got the whole battle group. But instead of just the 24th goes, and they're doing communications tests at the same time, and basically in the book, the whole battle group gets sent back to April 1942 is the first series, and right before,
really?
right
And
before
this guy that wrote that Manson series is writing
no
this?
no 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 Luke Sparks has the rights to the book, but I don't it's a #1 novel. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it, but there is a book about it. I'll find the book out and text you. I'll figure out what the name of the book is. He has a series of books, and it's like the Final Countdown, but in the Final Countdown they come back before they engage the Japanese.
Yeah, before they take them on, right?
Book, they don't come back. They engage the Japanese, and it's over very quickly, and the World War II ends very quickly. But then they think they got the situation handled, and they think they're going to time warp. But then they say they time warp June 5th, 1944 to Normandy.
Oh shit!
All these famous days and famous battles throughout history all over the world. Because D-Day, if it would have went the other way, would have changed the direction of the whole world. So this thing is this full battle group, aircraft carriers, the 24th Mew, everybody, submarines, everything just keeps getting sending through all history, these famous days. So it's very smartly written.
Oh, that's interesting. I'd check that out.
Yeah, I'll get the name of the book for you.
Yeah, I mean, but that technology in World War II versus modern F-18 jet. I don't know, man. There's no challenge.
Well, the Cobra helicopter handle it all.
Yeah. I mean, just a couple of those things. But I mean, could you imagine a bunch of Romans seeing an Osprey come in and flying in, and all of a sudden, 20 battle-hardened Marines jump out the back with, M16s, M60s, or not M60s anymore, 249, 240s.
240s.
Start shooting shit up, Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mark 19s.
Yeah, there was I didn't end up doing it, but there was a group that did a film with some Green Berets they do the same kind of thing, communications, and they end up going back to the Revolutionary War.
Oh.
And they get in a bunch of firefights, but then one of the guys doesn't make it back. Killed, but one of them stayed there, and he was the medic, and so he teaches saline, and antibiotics. So he's like, back then they would just cut the arm off. He's saving them, and then he doesn't come back. And then when these guys get into modern day, it's like the uniforms are completely changed. And there's a guy there. He's like, oh yeah, that's my great grandfather was with you. Da, da, da. But all of history has changed. The world is now a very peaceful place. He's, he completely changed. And they did the show, but it was just so low budget, and there was a reenactment group. They were out there getting a film with it and stuff. And then they were like, well, we can't really pay you, but will you come out here for 2 weeks? And I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Oh man. Well, let me see. Captain America, Leave, Green Hornet. What was your favorite movie working on? What was the favorite movie to work on?
Well, the favorite shows are both Band of Brothers and Pacific, for sure.
Yeah.
Leave was fun. Leave was written by Frank John Hughes and Rick Gomez. And they also starred in it. So that was kind of fun. It was kind of like, they just, I stunt coordinated. It was just, and I played the dark man, the bad guy that I got to beat the shit out of Rick Gomez for 8 hours on a day. That was fun because it was just us three just sitting around talking old school times about Band of Brothers, you know. That was kind of fun.
Well, you worked with Brad Pitt in
Spy Games and World War Z.
Yeah, and also what was the other one? Alexander. No, that was Alexander.
That was Colin Farrell.
Oh, Colin Farrell and Alexander. That's it.
I did all the horses. I had about 250 horses, and then I was Colin's stunt double.
Dude,
I did all of his horse stunts on that show.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Man, did he give you a gold? Give you a nice Rolex when you were done?
No. I made a lot of money. That was kind of funny. I was going to. They asked me to train Colin for 5 weeks to ride horses. So I worked out a deal with them. $125 a day plus $50 for the horse. They're like, "Yep, great." Well, then I get a phone call like 11 o'clock at night from Captain Dye saying, "Hey, Oliver Stone wants you to fly to London and meet him, and then you're going to go to Morocco." So next day I'm on a plane. I fly to London to meet them, and they wanted me to go to Morocco because it was kind of a political thing. Joel Proust does all the horses out there. He's a French guy, does all the horses in Morocco because they film a ton of stuff in Morocco. Mm-hmm. And he was wanting to charge like $150 a day for the rider and the horse, which in America that'd be cheap for the horse and the rider. But you know, when you get 250 horses for 6 months, it gets pretty hefty pin. So I went over and met with the Moroccan military because their cavalry still has horses. Uh-huh. Worked the deal out with them, $25 a day for a horse and rider. And they just come set up camp wherever we were filming. They'd have a big military camp and
no shit.
The whole thing. So when I got back, like 3 weeks, I kept calling, you know, you're supposed to pay me for this week. You know, it's like, I don't know, it's like $2,500 or whatever. Oh yeah, we sent it out today. Oh no, we sent it out last week. And like a month goes by, and I'm literally about to start training Colin. Nothing. And then it's just like, now they're not answering my phone call. So I'm like, oh, these some bitches ripped me off. You know what I mean?
This is the film that you're going to work on, right, with Colin?
Alexander. And Colin shows up, and I'm like, we're not riding, dude. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, I ain't going to, you know. He's like, oh, okay. So he calls, and of course they answer immediately.
Yeah.
And then they're on the phone with me, and I'm like, nope, the deal is from now on. It's $500 a day. It's $50 a horse. I have to have his horse and another horse, so $600 a day every day. And they're like, what? And I said, don't ever screw me over on pay again. You know, now you've done it. So Colin made me an extra $500 a day, basically. And
do they like have long memories on stuff like that, or do they learn their lesson and, you know, don't fuck with Freddie Joe?
Well, they didn't miss any more paychecks. I know that, but sometimes, you know, if you want someone loyal in the film business, get a dog, and that actually applies in the film business. The only have one of my favorite things is, and I learned this from he just passed away last week. One of my mentors, Jack Lilly. He was biggest horse wrangler in the business, and I've done it. Garcia's seen me walk in the office, do the same thing he did. We were on a show, I can't remember. It was called Then Came Jones or something. We were riding horses, and I was out there for like 3 weeks. And on the third week, I'm like, Jack, they haven't paid us at all. He goes, what? And I came late. Because this is after Alexander, so I came late because I had just finished Alexander, and they'd been working on this thing for like 6 weeks, and I'm like, Jack, they haven't paid us, you know? And he's like, what? You know, so cowboy, what are you talking about, kid? And I was like, no, sir, they haven't got paid. It's been 3 weeks. And in the film business, they have 10 working days to pay you, or they have to start paying the penalty.
Oh.
And so I just went to him. I don't want to create no problems, but, you know, it's been over 3 weeks now. I haven't got any paycheck, nothing. So he's like, oh. So he calls, I won't tell you his real name, but we call him Fish Eyes. So he goes, Fish Eyes, come over here. I mean, John Wayne and stuff, so he didn't give a shit about nothing. And he's loud, very loud. And he's like, have you gotten paid yet? And he goes, Well, no, Jack, I haven't got paid. And he went ballistic. Wow, you dumb son of a bitch.
Really?
The new guy's been in. I wasn't a new guy because I met him on Rough Riders, so I knew him forever.
Yeah.
You know, we got Freddie Joe's only been here 3 weeks, and he's already brought it to my attention. What the heck's going on? He said, all right, get all the riders off, tie all the horses up to the horse trailer. So he tied all the horses up, so they stopped filming because now there's no horses in the Western. So all the things, and we walked right over to production office, right into the accounting office, all like 9 or 7 or 8 of them. And he's standing there and he goes, oh, yeah, oh, no, it's just a minor problem. Da, 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 da. And he just stopped for a second. And he goes, well, my boys ain't going back to work until there's a check cut today.
Nice.
And the accountant's like, oh, we can't do that, Jack. He goes, wait. Did you get paid this week? Did everybody in this accounting office get paid this week? And they went, well, yeah. And he goes, nobody films until we get paid. And said, boys, and sure enough, about an hour later, come out his envelopes, and whoop, back on the horses we went. And so, and also, you know, there's such a vast amount of money involved. You know, say I'm going to do a $10 million film. All this money has to go into like an escrow account. Well, that escrow account is making interest. So they try to push as long as they can to pay you because they're actually making more money off your money.
Well, that makes sense.
Like residuals. And SAG says they don't do it. I mean, I get probably, I don't know, 20 residual checks a day. And now I get them direct deposit. But I used to get like a hard check. And the check would be 90 days to 120 days, written 120 days ago. So what happens is SAG gets the money to go into an escrow account, and then they use the same payroll company that is affiliated through SAG to then finally send me that check. Well, they're making interest on that account for 3-4 months sometimes, and so they still do it. Like if I get a $5,000 residual check, it takes me, it'll say pending, and it'll take me 6, 7, 8 weeks to get it. But if I got I get it 3 days later. It's like, wait, what? I know what you're doing. You're trying to appease me with this $3 check, and you're holding on to the big one to make money off of it.
Oh, jeez.
So you got to kind of sometimes push them in the right direction. But almost every show I go on, almost, not all of them. TV's pretty good, but movies, first couple checks you're in there going, hey, I ain't got paid yet. What's going on? You know.
How about Donald Belisario? Have you met him?
I don't know.
That guy seems like he was a Marine.
Yeah.
He seems like he would be awesome dude to hang out with, have a beer.
Yeah, if you go on that on my main IMDb page, on the right-hand side, there's a list in top 100 Marines in the film business. If you ever want to see that list, or it used to be. That's like my IMDb is like, that's like half the shows I've even worked on because I don't really think.
I see Marines who went to Hollywood. Went Hollywood?
That's it.
That's it? Let's see. Let me pull that up. Marines who went to Hollywood. Hell yeah, here we go. Hold on. Let me share this. Marines who went to Hollywood. Share. Marines who went to Hollywood. Gene Hackman. Hugh O'Brien. God, I don't know him. Of course, Adam Driver. Wow, he made number 3. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Steve McQueen.
Yep.
Tyrone Power. You know, he was a transport pilot with, was it 352 or 152? He was based out of California and flew out in the Pacific.
Nice.
Robert Weber. I don't know him. Christopher George. Boy, I don't know him, but wow, that's cool. Richard Lynch. Sword in the Sorcerer.
Yeah, they don't put you in there by how many movies you did. They just got a list.
Yeah, Bradford Dillman. He only did, The Enforcer in '76. I don't remember that guy.
Yeah, there's a lot of names that just like, oh God, I didn't know he was a Marine. Ed McMahon.
Oh my God, Tim Matheson was a Marine. I did not know that.
Yeah,
he played Otter.
Yep.
In Animal House. Now, Glenn Ford, I knew Glenn Ford was a Marine. George C. Scott, I did not know was a Marine.
Tim Matheson is really good friends with Dale and Mike Stokey.
Really?
Yeah, I've hung out with him a few times.
He seemed a great guy. Harvey Keitel.
Yep.
Jeez. Brian Dennehy, I knew he was a Marine. there's a little question about his stuff. I can't remember why. Jim Beaver,
Jim
James
P,
Whitman.
right?
I don't. Scott Glenn was a Marine. I did not know that. He was recon. Wow.
There you go.
Barry Corbin.
Yep.
Always loved him.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I worked with him. Good cowboy. Good guy.
Yeah, he's just an awesome actor as
He,
well.
every day we cut, and he's like, "I'll pick you up in the lobby. We're walking over to the casino every day." And I was like, every day. He found out I was a cowboy, and he just loved me.
Oh, that's awesome. Burt Young. I don't know him. Bo Svensson. I don't know him. Clue. I don't. Man, I don't know any of these guys, but a lot of them. Return of the Living Dead. Oh, wait a minute. I remember that movie. Arlie Ermy, of course, Full Metal Jacket. Or I guess maybe that's what he's best known for, Full Metal Jacket, because he's been in so many.
Yeah.
Lee Marvin, uh, Warren Oates. I don't know that name. Sam, I don't know him. Ernie Hudson. I didn't know he was a Marine.
There you go. So yeah, it's just I read through it, and and you can click on it and see they'll have their pictures and stuff, and you're like, oh, I know that guy. I know who he's.
Yeah, Ernie. It says cut his service in the Marines to 3 months because of asthma. Figured they would have figured that out before he got to boot camp. Michael Murphy, I don't know him. Mike Farrell from MASH, I did not know he was in the Marines either. He was a PFC, 3rd Marine Division, 57 to 59. Wow. Ralph White, oh, wow. Mr. Walton, he was in the Marines from 46 to 48. George Papard, I didn't know he was in the Marines. Geez, Brian Keith, I used to love him on, is it the old TV show Buffy and anyway, it was an old black and white TV show. Robert Ryan, Sterling Hayden, Jack Mahoney, Drew Carey. Yeah, I knew Drew Carey. Yeah, he always wore his BCDs, birth control glasses. Eh,
BCGs,
yeah, what they call them?
birth control glasses, or
Yeah, birth control glasses.
portholes.
Yeah, yeah. And then I guess he got his eyes fixed, and he stopped wearing the glasses. But that was a part of his persona, so he had to get glasses with clear lenses. Jonathan Winters, Don Adams, Get Smart. Wow.
Yeah.
See, I mean, this is back. This is back in the day. These guys. Oh, Rob Riggles, number 40. Look at you, Rob. Ed McMahon, I knew was a fighter pilot, F4Us back in the day.
Yeah.
Retired as a colonel. Sam Jones, I don't know him. Larry Wilcox, I actually wrote him a letter, got his address, and I wrote him a letter and asked if he would be on the show. Never heard back from him.
Mm.
He's like my dad's age, so you know what? I don't blame him because
He probably doesn't know what.
internet. What the hell is that? Yeah. Calling one of his grandkids come out to set it up. Red West, I don't know him. Dale Dye made number 50. Dude, that's cool.
Oh, Dale Dye.
Oh, let me tell you something, Taco. Brad James. I don't know him. Brad James, comedic actor.
Me neither.
I don't know him.
He must not be very funny.
Nah, he's in there somewhere, I'm sure. Donald Bellisario. Oh man, he had so many great TV shows. Loved him. Jack Pennant. This is pretty cool, man. There's Brad James again. How could Brad James be 64 and 56? Why did they put him in twice?
Either a clerical error or there's two people named Brad James.
No, it's the same guy.
Must be a clerical error.
Yeah. Brian Kelly, Tim Ware, Pat Flattery. Don't know him. James. Like I said, a lot of these are old dudes that served in World War II or Korea.
Yep.
And they came back and then became actors. So,
or they were, or then.
Yeah. The rest of these guys, I don't know. Let's see. Pat Conway. Oh, never mind. I was thinking Great Santini, the author. Got all excited. Look at that, Freddie Joe. You don't even have a picture in there, Freddie Joe.
Oh,
What the
that's,
hell?
I think it's because I changed my credit card. So
They,
yeah,
they ditched.
you pay to have your picture on there. It's only like $10 a month, but I got a new card and I just never changed it over.
Uh,
Puts up my
yeah, I've got an IMDb account, and it was a free one. It was free. I don't even think I've got a picture either.
yeah. To get your picture, you have to be on the IMDb Pro.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not paying money for that. It was a B movie.
Change my card.
Dre Garcia, Shameless. 6 years active duty, United States Marine, working in aviation and brown belt martial arts instructor. After being honorably discharged, returned to home in Oakland, relocated to Los Angeles, and she took classes. I don't know her. I have to look her up. Dre Garcia. You know her?
No.
Oh, it goes down to 124. I have to go back and check all these out. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, give me something to dive into.
Yeah, I like that. Make us famous, man. We'll make you famous.
Yeah.
I think so you know what's funny is I was writing the secretary for the commandant. The commandant was my officer selection officer back in the day, and I was communicating. Uh, I'd write a letter to General Berger, and within about an hour or two, I'd get a email back. And then he was doing something. He was coming down for an event, and so he CC's his executive secretary into the deal. And so now she's communicating with me to help set up the event. And she goes, "Oh, Mr. Bell, I'm so impressed that the general knows you." And I'm thinking, I'm nobody. What are you talking about? He type back and I go, not sure. I'm not that famous. He goes, "Oh, I looked up you. I Googled you, and you're the executive producer of the Marvel series,
Oh,
um, Mitchell Bell." And I'm like, "Oh, no, 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 no. That Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff. No, that's some other Mitchell Bell. That's not me." And then after that, I think her, expectation of me went
yeah.
down here.
But now.
The level of being impressed went from here to there. No, I'm just some scumbag guy that the general got into the Marine Corps back in the day. No, I'm not that famous. But on my IMDb, it just has a couple small shows that I was on. Now I did do Texas Dallas Car Sharks, and then American Pickers with Mike.
Mm,
And actually, we filmed it in Michigan with Danielle, and then Mike and what's his name, who's passed, Frank,
yeah.
find a Purple Heart, and then it goes to Zach and Purple Hearts reunited, and then we go up and we return it to this Vietnam family up there at VFW. That was kind of cool. And a
Oh,
lot of times that show is a fan favorite, so it'll it'll show, and I always know when it's on because I get a million texts. "Hey, dude, I was channel surfing and I saw you on TV." And I know this has probably happened to you, but you're like, if you're in a foreign country, I'm down in Brazil, they speak Portuguese. And I get into the hotel room and I'm channel surfing, and there I am on American Pickers speaking fluent Portuguese because it's dubbed. And I thought, now I've made it, man. I made it in the world that I actually am in Brazil watching myself speak Portuguese, and I videoed it and sent it to my wife. Said, "This is pretty funny." And then, of course, next day, we show up at the crew bus and everyone's like, "Dude, I saw you on TV. What the hell?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah. I've had a couple little things, little
yeah.
brushes with fame.
I'm
Kind of
famous.
fun." Yeah, and as I tell them, I go, "Reality TV is not reality. Trust me, it
Oh,
is."
I did a combat reality show years ago, and it's so funny. I mean, you got photo doubles, everything. You know what I mean?
Photo
Just
photo
oh,
doubles.
guys on the hill, so just send the doubles up there. Let the guys stay down here and relax.
Oh, that's kind of fun. Well,
Yeah.
look, dude, I've kept you for an hour and 15 minutes. I really appreciate you coming on, dude.
Yeah.
Um,
I love it.
we we gotta have you back for the 200th episode because I think I'm up to 190 something. But I want to get you, of course, Scotty. He was my very first guest. I want
Yeah.
to get a couple of you guys, and we'll make the 200th episode.
See how the
Uh,
51st state is doing. Now,
uh, Hey Scott, if you're watching this, we are laughing in jest. We would never take over Canada. You're our ally, and we love you.
I,
Just stop your tariffs against us, and we'll stop ours against you. It's that simple.
plus, our Boy Scouts are busy in the summer, so
Tell Trudeau to go visit his daddy or his uncle down in Cuba. He misses him.
well, unemployed now, so
Yeah. He's out of there. All right, brother. Well, listen, man, you have a great one. I'll catch up with you again here soon, and thanks again for hanging out today.
you got it, boss.
You bet. Hoorah.
All right.
Hang out for a second. I'll talk to you in a sec. Hey guys, I appreciate you hanging out with Freddie Joe. I tell you, one of the funniest guys that you've ever met in your life. What you see is what you get when you're hanging out with Freddie Joe, especially uh, at an event or someplace. It's a lot of fun to be with the guy. If you ever get a chance, go hang out, ask him for a selfie, and you'll get that arm out and you'll get a great shot of probably one of my favorite Marines out there. So until next week, you guys, adios, hasta luego, sa wiedersehen, tschüss, shesheni, au revoir, domarigato gozaimasu, tano shinde, kudasai, ciao, arrivederci, tashikor, assalamu alaikum, mahala, do vidjenia, das vidanya, and I think that's it. I will play this one to say goodbye. Goodbye.